We got a really cool chassis right behind me. I want to break down why we build things the way we do and why we use the parts we do. Let's do it. All right, we want to talk about this really cool chassis. This is a 1953 Ford F100 chassis. And if you take a look at it, this is our, we'll call it a performance chassis because it's going to be about 6 inches, 6 inches off the ground from the running board. It's built for performance, and as you can see, this is built for power as well. We have a Gen 4 Coyote motor. If you're familiar with the Gen 4 Coyote motors, they got the dual throttle bodies that come out, but they're also a little internally built a little bit better to handle a little more horsepower. And so they work great if we take off that and put a Whipple on it. It's a really nice blend of motor to supercharger. Now you can use a Gen 4X and do the same thing, but this is a little bit more of a beefier motor, if you know, lack of a better word. So really cool. So of course we got, you know, the Whipple on here mounted to the Gen 4, and of course we're using Power by the Hour front runner kit on this. And so we'll talk about some of these little details. So generally, you know, you're going to cap this stuff off. This is going to go to the lower radiator here, and this is going to come up to the upper radiator here. Some people sell like a billet piece that clamps on here. We're actually going to put one up on that's like a plastic piece. I think it looks weird when it goes from plastic to billet back to black again, and so we have a plastic piece that we're just going to let you purchase for like a third of the cost and save you some money. We also got oil filter relocation kit that we have to use because right here is where it would be, and it's really tight, you know, trying to get space here. The engine needs to sit this low so that we can create clearance for the firewall and the tunnel. And so you really try to avoid as much tunneling as possible as we can and get the motor in the best location to avoid that. It's easier for you guys. But also just the lower center of gravity also helps with performance. So the lower we can keep that, the better. Got a sway bar right here, some Ritec coilovers, and then we got some 14-inch Wilwood brakes all the way around on this. So one of the things I want to talk about though is we want to talk about the fuel system. And so as you can see, this is plumbed through here, then it goes through the chassis, comes all the way to the back, pops out here, and is plumbed in here. Now this is a Mustang GT 500 fuel pump. And I have a lot of people that ask questions like, the instructions say that I should put a return style fuel system in here. And so you would have another fitting here, you'd have a regulator up front, and then you'd have another hose and other fittings come back and return the fuel. Well, the reason why we don't do that is because the Mustang actual motor is designed to run and just pulse width modulated system, which means we're controlling the voltage. There's a little sensor that goes in here, and we control the voltage wired into here with how much volts we're sending to the pump to control how hard the pump is working. So rather than using an aftermarket fuel pump, we're actually using an OEM fuel pump. It's been tried, tested, it's been validated that it works, but also using the way the pump is designed to be used, pulse width modulated, and also keeping our fuel pump on this, you know, Ford GT 500, it's more like in a jog, where if I use an aftermarket fuel pump, it's in 100% duty cycle in a sprint. So if you get below a quarter of a tank of gas, that fuel pump's going to get hot and you may potentially burn it up. And trying to find an aftermarket fuel pump at your local AutoZone, Checker, O'Reilly's, Napa, that's going to be tough. You're going to go in, hey, I need this air motive fuel pump, and they're going to be like, well, we don't carry that. And so we wanted to, you know, make things as reliable as we could. So we go with the pulse width modulated system. It's easy to just run one continuous line all the way to the front, but we control it with the amount of volts, and we can keep your fuel pump in more of a jog, not a sprint, okay? So it's going to stay cooler, especially if you forget to get gas and you're running low on fuel and you do that a few times, you'll find yourself stranded on the side of the road with your fuel pump gave up the ghost. It's dead, right? And that sucks. I've been there and I've done that, and we've been in that situation too many times. And so we decided, hey, we got to make things more reliable, more idiot-proof for us too, right? I got guys who put like 3 gallons of gas in the tank and they're firing things up, and then all of a sudden I'm replacing fuel pumps because the aftermarket pumps and that 100% duty cycle, it's just not the very best combination. So anyway, so that's why we do that. We've got a Watts link here, which keeps the axle centered. This whole housing and axle centered. We've got our drive shaft installed. We've got MagnaFlow mufflers. I like the sound of those. I think they make a really nice muffled muffler, and not always that straight through. Oftentimes that can get burned out and it increases sound. We've got a set of resonators here, and we've got a set of resonators back here. Now the reason why we do that is because we're running 3-inch exhaust, Whipple supercharger. It's already going to be noisy already, that 3-inch larger chamber. And quite frankly, a lot of these dudes that are spending this kind of money, they want it to sound good under load, but they want to be able to have a conversation, listen to the radio, have a great conversation, not feel like, you know, they're trying to drown out the noise of the exhaust all the time. It gets kind of annoying. It's cool like the first week or two, and after that you're kind of like, how do I get this quiet? So, you know, you won't find a lot of companies that are thinking that far out of the box for guys that are building trucks. And the reason why you won't is because most chassis companies aren't builders. Okay, so that's the struggle. We're constantly building, constantly improving the process so that what we sell you when you're ready to pick up your chassis, it's already been architected through our system of making sure we're building quality products for people. So you're the beneficiary of all our hard work and all of our R&D that we learn as we're building trucks. So super cool. Of course, this has the brake pedal, the booster, master cylinder, all right here. This is pretty low. We'll put some 2-pound residual valves right here from Willwood. We've got this right here to adjust the proportioning for the rear brakes. We always want the front brakes to be doing a lot of the work, but we also want to adjust this to where we can maximize as much pressure back here as we can without locking up the brakes. Unless you're like super hard, you really don't want those to lock up. So you're going to always be adjusting this, and it's kind of a one and done, and then you'll be good to go. And so you're going to have this right here. You're going to have to run a hose back up to the engine and connect it for your vacuum here. But aside from that, you're good to go. You'll have this, and that'll go through the floor like a normal location, and you'll mount your pedal right here. You can make some adjustments like right here for the pedal, and then you always have that, you know, 1/10 of a gap from the pin from here going into the master cylinder. If you check it out right here, we've got this installed for your O2 sensors. Oftentimes we've put them right up here, but where it's collecting, it can kind of give a weird reading if you're collecting the exhaust right here and they're merging all into one right here. Oftentimes if you get it right here, it can give you a little bit of a weird reading every now and then with your O2 sensors. So we found that if we install it right here, just a little bit further downstream, we get a more accurate reading, and so our fuel to air ratio mixture becomes more precise. Definitely with the supercharger, you really want to make sure that you're not running lean, because that's going to cause internal detonation you're not looking for. All right, we've got this chassis headed to a customer. He's super excited about it. We're super excited about it for him. But here's the thing. We also make radiators, AC systems, so our job really isn't done. We've sold you a chassis, but at the same time, we're hopefully selling you the rest of your experience of getting your project done, because we make parts and components to help you finish it out. So you can take over right here, call us up, say, I need a radiator, I need air conditioning. We're gonna have you covered. We're gonna make sure that you get all the right stuff to finish your build out with a quality in mind, not necessarily always the cheapest, but if you're saying, hey, I don't have that much money for that part, what would you recommend? We're always happy to recommend other things that might get the job done. We kind of just work towards parts that if there is a problem and we have a warranty issue, we want to make sure the vendor that we're buying from is going to stand behind their product. And so oftentimes when we buy a Champion radiator off eBay or off Amazon, or that can be really frustrating when you can't find somebody that's going to warranty that stuff. So come check out this header. And I just want you to understand, like, this is the kind of stuff we're thinking about. We've got this header designed where you come right through your steering into your firewall right here. And a lot of guys, they won't think that through. They'll make you put like a Heim joint right here, and they'll have you two-piece your steering shaft in here. Anytime you two-piece the steering shaft, you're going to be introducing potential slop in your steering wheel. And when you want things to be just like locked in, instant movement of the steering wheel, you can't have a lot of joints in it. And then if you use like products that are not really good products, that's going to increase the problems of, you know, the steering plate. So check this header out. Like, we contoured this around to make sure we could allow clearance for it. So we're striving really to give you guys as much success and the very best product possible. You can see we've got some, blue markings here on all this stuff because we want to make sure, that none of this stuff moves. And as you guys are doing, after your first couple hundred miles on this, we want to make sure you guys can go back in here and take a look at it and make sure that, everything's stays nice and tight, and it should be very visible for you to see. But after a couple, 200-300 miles, put it, get back under your truck and tighten everything down, make sure it's nice and tight. And if anything that's not tight, then you'll want to make sure that you find out why. You got to put some Loctite on something, make sure it's good. So you've got a little bit of a piece right here that you're going to have to deal with. When you're doing a Whipple supercharger, round is easier. The 132 millimeter oval throttle body that you can also purchase, a little harder to contend with. We make an adapter for that. But if you can get, like 120 millimeter or round, and you can come out here and get it into a 5-inch cold air intake, that's gonna probably be a little bit easier and a little more ideal. I know you run a MAF sensor there. Whipple is actually working on a process where they're gonna be controlling this with a MAP sensor. So we'll get rid of that MAF sensor and it'll make tuning a lot easier. Currently, because of the MAF sensor, you'll need more help tuning. That's always a good idea to just have a tuner go through it, even with a MAP sensor, just make sure it's good. But a MAP sensor is gonna make it a lot easier, for getting the tuning and everything done on it. So you won't be so lean right out of the gate. Lots of stuff is coming for the Ford stuff, and working with good partners like Ford Racing Parts and Whipple and a lot of great companies, MagnaFlow and Curry and Boyd Welding. Like, these companies help us create the recipe of success. Good quality companies means we're gonna have a good quality product. We try to avoid things that might be questionable. Just because they're cheaper doesn't mean that it's going to save you money. It might actually cost you a lot more time. You might be broke down. You might end up having to buy the right stuff next time. So if you can squeeze it, it always makes sense. But I totally understand if money is really important, I would do the same thing, try to save money where I could on some of those things. So I hope that's helpful. 1953 to 1956 chassis here, kind of the performance version of it. I hope if you have any more questions, you can ask in the comments or reach out to us. You can give guys a call. We're gonna answer as many questions as we can. We're currently getting our lead times down to be better. They've kind of gotten out a little bit, and we're kind of gonna have a surprise for you that we're gonna talk about of how we're gonna fix that. That's going to be next week when we discuss that. But check this out. If you have any more questions, give us a call. We'll be happy to share as much information as we can, and happy hot rodding. Today's Monday. What a great week we're dealing with here. I don't know when you're gonna watch this, but today's Monday for me, and I'm super excited about everything we got going on here, and we're really excited about all the things that we create. You can even get an interior kit. Once you got all this together, we got an interior kit you can buy and just plug it in, and you can be your own contractor of your own build, and we're happy to help you succeed. Buy some parts, do it yourself, have a great product when you're done. See you next time.